Valentino, and this is Top 3 Anything, not Doctor Who and the Ood. Thank you very much.
Unless we want to do a top 3 favorite on Doctor Who characters, which I'm bouty bout.
Write it on the list, but later.
I don't want to write it on a list, but...
the person who is frightened of a list butt is Madam Alex Severe.
You watch your mouth.
He who hides within the shadows is Levi Spiffy.
That's me. That's
and
my
the
name.
three of us together are going to bring you another amazing top 3 list in which we each give our top 3 and then, I don't know, tell each other their top 3s are pretty good, but not as good as our top 3s. And then lose friendships over it. That's my plan.
You did all right, but you could have done better.
Have friendships to lose them.
Yeah. We lose our barely competent working relationships. Boom, gone like that. Finger snaps.
And this is a very special episode.
It is because we are for 2 reasons. Number 1, we are actually trying to record it in a different way and remotely and with cameras. So
and
that's been a mess.
We're all old and scared of technology.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
For your fucking self.
Yes.
I am just old. Right? I'm so old that I'm not smart enough to be scared of anything at this point.
I've gone to my second immortal phase. The first was when I was a teenager and nothing could kill me.
Yeah, like now I'm so old I just don't care. I'm like, that's a cute puppy, and it's like, it's a guard dog. I'm like, maybe it will release me from this mortal coil of pain.
Someone please kill me.
That's a cute puppy. That's a rabid sewer rat. I'm going to pet that puppy.
I'm going to name it Thomas. Knit it a sweater.
Thomas the tank rat. Oh, and Levi, what the hell are we talking about today?
Oh man,
we don't have any notes. I'm going to act like I do.
Yeah, I was going to say we are doing top 3 Final Fantasy soundtracks. Just varied throughout the many Final Fantasy games. There's many,
not entire soundtracks.
Yeah, not soundtracks.
Different list.
Single songs.
Which was really hard for me.
Oh,
honestly.
same here.
We know.
This was one of the hardest ones I could imagine doing.
Here's the thing. I
like hard difficult, right?
Yeah.
Not hard sexy.
Hard, no, both.
Well,
it was.
My God! Now I know why you're just a dark head floating in a room.
Yeah.
Some of these songs will also make it on my top video game songs to bone to, but that is a separate list for a separate day.
You don't really get the bony.
Write it down. Put it in the list.
Put it on the list.
Put it on the list.
Songs are gonna bone too. But these are. A lot of them are by Nobuo Uematsu, who is kind of the Final Fantasy MVP. Did most of the music for 1 through 9, and then oversaw music and contributed some songs for 10. And then from 10 onward, he would throw a song in here and there, but he wasn't the main composer.
He didn't have to be anymore. He had made a lot of money at that point.
He had made a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Interestingly, his he has 2 houses in Japan. Just saying. It's expensive to have one. The man has 2.
It's expensive to have a fucking trash can that you can park your car next to. Like, that you then live in the trash can. Like,
and when you park your car next to the trash can, they think it's trash and they take it away, and you lose your car.
Car is the size of a matchbook because Tokyo.
I lived in Japan for 2 years. That's exactly how it works. Don't let them lie to you. It's a dystopia. But yeah, so after that though, his influence, of course, was still felt, because one thing Final Fantasy loves doing is taking a song and keeping it forever and just modifying it just a bit. The Chocobo theme and the main Final Fantasy theme being probably the 2 most famous examples, but
and also the I just beat up villains. Yeah.
But even
Classic.
his other songs, there's a lot of homage to. I think him and Koji Kondo, the guy that did Mario, Zelda, and I think those are the two video game music names in Japan.
Mhm.
So anyone that follows in their footsteps has got hella big shoes to fill, and I would not want to. I would not want to be those people. But I think we might have a few on here from some people who managed to fill those shoes, and God bless them.
Good on them.
Yeah,
Everyone.
yeah. Well, I think Levi, for instance, picked one from FF Tactics, which
I did.
had a different composer, but was very. I
It was
mean,
really
every
They
fun.
song
they
you
did a
hear,
really good job on that
yes.
entire.
Oh, that it's a great soundtrack, and
I
you can feel the uematsu flowing
Mhm.
through it. Not to sound
I
sexy.
almost picked one from 10 and didn't, and I probably should have. I'm still iffy
What were
about
you
it.
thinking
About what?
Oh, now, first of
about
all,
not picking
that
one from
came off
10?
as really offensive. Like, what were you thinking? How dare you?
I don't know what I was thinking,
That's
All
fine.
honestly.
right. And these lists were hard, and I think if you asked me again today, my list would be different. And if you asked me in a
Yeah.
week,
Yeah.
it would be different. The only way I was able to do the list was to be like, these are my top three
Mhm.
favorites at this exact millisecond, and then just write them out real quick.
Which that speaks
Because
a lot for how good the songs are. I mean, the fact that we have to like change frequently what you would say. Well, this week I feel like this is my favorite song, and because I think that was the hardest thing about it. Is like I don't know, like
So I gave myself kind of a rule set too, and I decided to pick the ones that were the most consistently nostalgically pleasant for me.
okay,
That was how I chose the best ones because it's like there are probably songs that are way better compositionally and all that kind of stuff, but I picked the ones that like made me feel the most feels
mhm.
most predictably.
I think I did that. I think even if you're like, I'm only looking for the
Yeah.
perfect symphonic arrangements, like you fucking pick the song that you remember fighting Sephiroth to. You're not tricking anybody.
Well, it's like
I'm. If you played the games, it's really hard to separate the music from the experience,
Right.
Yeah,
because
very hard.
Well, that's why I
Uematsu is a
think
master
and
of
that's why I
that.
think like nostalgia plays a huge part in it too. On
Mhm.
what would
I
pick.
don't know how you could separate them, and I did not try.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
No, I
like,
just leaned into it really hard.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's what I
I
did.
did the opposite of trying.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we all did. We did the opposite of trying. And also you when you look at like a game like uh, Super Mario Brothers,
Mhm.
the number of songs in that game is I don't know 12 or 15. And if you compare that to Final Fantasy One, which was also on the Nintendo, working with the same capability, which had the same like Nintendo only had I think it was three sound channels, and one of those was
Yeah.
four sounds. So with music, you could only have a couple. Like you'd be playing Final Fantasy One, and in the middle of a fight, as you were slashing somebody, the music would fade out because it
Yeah.
was trying to use the sound
Yeah.
channel for both options. But for Final Fantasy One, that soundtrack has like 30 songs on it.
hmm
When you're making an
really big.
RPG, yeah, it's huge. And when you're making an RPG, you've got to have music for so many more situations than if you're just making a platformer or like well, that was all there was platformers and RPGs. I guess Techno Bowl, the four sports games. But yeah, you had a
Remember
lot more
those?
music there.
There were those like fighting games, double dragons,
Oh
your
yeah, the what beat 'em ups. Yeah,
yeah.
the old beat 'em ups. But yeah, that was another thing where you had what? Double Dragon had 7 songs, maybe.
If that.
Yeah, feel free
Another
to
another
fact
thing
check.
that another thing that was really a challenge is RPGs were some of the first games that had a version of an open world format.
Mhm.
So you had to compose music with very limited tools that could loop effortlessly and not become tiresome
Tedious.
and
Yeah.
repeat and repetitive to the point that the player noticed it. So there was this strange middle ground where you wanted to compose something that was nice to hear, but that also wasn't so interesting that it would quickly become tedium. But it also couldn't be elevator music. It had to be somewhere in between. And curiously, though I chose mostly overtures and themes, a lot of those world musics were really well done, and you didn't find yourself hating them the way that I even found myself hating the music in Dragon Quest Builders 2 after a few hours of, which is a modern game, great
Yeah.
game, has decent music,
Yeah.
but they didn't consider the thought that you're going to be spending hours at a time in one place where you have this long repetitively. They didn't pay attention to the lessons that Final Fantasy had already taught.
Right.
So that's another thing too about this. This music would last a lot longer. Your boss fights too would be sometimes 35, 45 minutes, and you needed music in those that was exciting,
Yeah.
but not so recognizable on the repeat and the loop, or the loop was long enough that you weren't paying more attention to the music than you were which potion to throw or what magic to use, or,
Right.
or
That
whatever
you're gonna
you were
be-
doing in the fight.
That
You're
you're gonna
designing
be stuck
a
with some
song.
PTSD from that.
Yeah.
You're designing a song without an and this is true of most video game music, but I feel like more so for RPG music because of the reasons Alex suggested. Without a beginning and an end.
Mm-hmm.
That the end flows right back into the beginning in a way that unless you're listening for it, you won't notice if it's done well. And
Yeah.
obviously, without this name to be said, Rimatsu did it well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we could probably talk about the man, the myth, the legend for another hour. But
Let's do that. Let's go.
Yeah, but let's do it through our song picks.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have a list on this fucking show, so let's get some fucking list, people.
Well,
After we all drink from
Yeah.
our respective chalices.
well, I guess
Mine is a bubbly, and Levi's is air, and Alex is chugging out of a ramen bowl.
I mean, if
I'm a
I
classy
have
lady,
to,
what can I say?
If I have to fin, I've got some water here, so I'm good.
There you go, Levi. Oh my God, Levi, be more dull. Get a cool bottle.
Hey, man, you got to hydrate to be great.
Yeah, you got that.
You got a pinky raised.
Pinky raised. So,
Got nothing. All right, so yeah, we each got a top three.
yeah.
I figure we would do our threes, our twos, our ones, and I figured we'd do them in the order of submission, which would be me, then Levi, then Alex, me, then Levi, then Alex. If no one has any,
You meant like submission, like who lost? I'm like, was there an armbar challenge for this that I didn't know about? Did I submit? I don't know.
everyone submitted because it happened in Canada. You guys weren't there, but you
You
gave
guys
up.
weren't there. You don't know about
Which
it.
is why I won. I won by
Right.
you guys didn't show up. It was forfeit.
Yikes.
Anyway.
So I would say, Mr. Reno. Well, what
Yeah.
was your number 3?
Oh my God, I'd have to go back to I thought those were up. I have no idea. I think.
Well, I was gonna say, even if we had to try our best to commit to memory, which I feel like some of these will have to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know.
I can give you my number 3 if you guys, if Reno's
Yeah, go ahead
Yeah.
because I've obviously
being Captain Slow Pants
no?
over there. All right, Captain Slow Pants. My number 3 is Dancing Mad, which is Kefka's battle music
Right.
when you fight him in his final forms. It is extremely long.
So that's
but-
what I was about to get to. Which
Mhm.
tier would you prefer to play a section of?
So my suggestion would be if you can bounce around in it,
Mhm.
you know, if you can play like a snip from here, a snip from there, a snip from the other, because I think it's a 15-minute song.
Luckily, thanks for the kind and lovely community of YouTube. That will not be a problem because people are
Okay.
really good about putting soundbite or tagging
Yeah.
which part of the fight's what. So,
And so to give a little setup before you go into
of
the
course,
song,
yeah.
this is one of the few Final Fantasy compositions that on the system that it was on before it was ever remastered or made into
Super Nintendo.
symphonic, it actually didn't have a loop until about 15 minutes in, and maybe 13 minutes, I can't remember. But the loop on this is so long that when you're fighting the boss, you legitimately can't. You almost don't. You could almost beat him before it loops back around again. Almost, not quite, because it is a very long boss fight.
Yeah, it's got 4 stages, so
yeah, it's insane. Probably one of my most feared boss fights that I ever, like when I think about replaying the games, that's one of the boss fights that prevents me from replaying that game. But the music is just incredible. And so with each stage of the villain, your music changes, and that's why it's so long, and that's also why I suggest that we skip around and listen to some snippets of it. Start with the first stage and just go through through a chronology.
All right, well, easy peasy, so we'll just start this up, and hopefully it doesn't blare out loud, so this is the song.
That's good volume.
To sound like choral, like voices.
Exactly what I just wrote down.
Yeah.
Well, especially with the limitations of the Super Nintendo, like the tricks, because obviously you have more sounds than you do on an 8-bit system like the Nintendo, but still, I don't know, like no one else was doing this. No one else. Another thing about FF6 is it has a motherfucking opera in it.
Yeah.
And no one was trying to do anything like that with the capabilities of a 16-bit system. Like, nobody else would. Like, Uematsu is the only person who would try.
And it definitely paid off. I mean, it was a gamble that really worked.
Oh my god, yeah. This is, I mean, if you look at top 5 songs of his, this is on most lists.
It's really great.
One of the only things that kept it from mine is the length and the idea of like how would I talk about an 18 minutes? Because I would want to listen to all 18 minutes and be like, ooh, and then here when it does that thing, oh my god, and then this part, like, okay, this is right when you're getting to the second statue, which is a goddess, and
and I actually think that the second stage is my favorite bit of the song. Like, if I had to pick one, just because it is such a sudden transition.
Yeah.
Well, I was just about to say, whenever, like, at this point in the music, you think you're in a loop. And that's interesting, too, because the fight itself tricks you so many times into thinking that you've... okay, this is the last boss. Okay, this is the last transformation. Okay, this is the last transformation. So the music does the same thing. Right here, turn it up just a bit. You realize you're not in a loop musically anymore, and it's shocking. So good.
Let's jump to, if Alex is okay with it.
Sure, yeah.
Sort of near the end. Because I'd like a little bit of the Kefka part of the fight.
Yeah, the last part, the God Kefka.
Something Uematsu does here is that Kefka is, for people who don't know FF6, he's kind of a clownish gesture figure that by the end of the game becomes a truly terrifying fallen angel force of nature. And they keep his theme, but modify it to like this horrible they add in orchestration and like a lot of brass and some more chorus. But it's on top of his theme, his normal, like, little gestury theme. And this, yeah, just a little past this. This is actually the opening theme.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
wait for it. Yeah, there it is.
There we go.
This is just a faster, angrier version of the Justice theme from earlier on.
Yeah.
Which is all you had to do, honestly. But yeah, a masterful piece.
It's neat too because some of the internet theories or gamer theories about the Kefka creature or tower is that each of the 3 stages or tiers represent the Divine Comedy by Dante.
Yeah.
And so this is, a section of that, and it's neat. Like, I don't know if that's the case or not, but the music really lends itself to that belief that there's progression where you're going from hell to purgatory to heaven or whatever. So
excellent choice, Alex. Is there anything else that you wanted to comment on before we?
So the only reason that I had trouble picking this as my third or putting it in my list at all is because, like you said, it's an incredibly complex piece of music. It's in its original form. I mean, listen to it. In its original form on a Nintendo, it was one of the most complicated pieces of music I had ever heard as a child. And I remember being shocked by it and being fascinated by it. And to tell you the truth, this entire game sort of influenced my taste in music. It sort of pushed me into listening to a lot of classical music at a really young age, and I put a lot of that towards this particular piece, this particular boss fight, because it was so engaging and so shocking that the first time that I played through the boss fight, it was almost hard to pay attention to what I was doing in the boss fight. The music was so distracting because it was so phenomenally different than anything I'd ever heard, not only in video games, but also in my very short, small child life, right? Yeah. So it was very influential to me. But it's hard to talk about that. Listen, you can hear his voice laughing in this part.
You heard the laugh. Yeah.
Did you hear it? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that laugh.
But it is hard to talk about because there's so much. It's like, yeah, let's pick our favorite song, and I'm like, here's War and Peace. Let's just go through that. It's a short thing.
Yeah, here's a couple lines you might like.
Yeah.
Read 30 pages. Yeah. I will say this list, at least from me and Alex's level, is a little FF6 heavy, but I will also say that is not a bad thing. And Final Fantasy VI was the first video game soundtrack I ever bought. And when I bought it, I had to order it from Japan. It cost like $80. It took like 3 months to get there.
That's That's $80 in the 90s too.
That's one of the first things I ever bought with my 16-year-old working ass paycheck. Like that was one of the first things I ever bought, and it was 3 discs. It was called Kefka's Domain. Was the name of the soundtrack, and this last song was not the longest, because after this there's a 30-minute ending song where everyone's running out, and all 14 characters get like a revisit to their theme as they're escaping from the tower. And again, Uematsu, you're God among men. Levi, did you have anything else to say about this before Kefka lasts us on to the next track?
Nothing. I don't already agree with what you guys have been saying. I mean,
you can just tell us we're right about everything.
You guys are right about everything.
God, I love it when you say that, Levi.
No, I mean, I know it's just pretty much memeing myself, but it's
I'm at half mast right now, Levi.
It is such a good song. Like,
so good.
I couldn't even go into depth on any further than what you guys have already added.
Well then, by God, let's move on. Levi, What
Yeah.
did you have as number 3?
My number 3
Yes,
was
sir.
Esper Battle from Final Fantasy 12.
All
Nice.
right.
So,
Do you want to talk about it first, or give
um,
us a snippet and then talk about
I
it?
figure we'll do a little snippet and then we'll talk about it.
Give us a taste.
So, that's Battle with an Esper again from Final Fantasy 12, and and the funny thing is, around the time we were picking our songs for this, and it'd be wrong of me to not mention Final Fantasy 14 in a Final Fantasy songs list.
Yeah.
They had added this song to one of the new zones, so it's been kind of like fresh in my mind, and it's very. I'm trying to think of the words for it. It feels like you got that sense of urgency for like. I'm trying to find my words for it. It definitely feels like high stakes battle is basically what I'm trying to get at. But yeah,
It was a very, very militaristic feel.
yeah, very, and
So I haven't played 12 in ages, and this, for one thing, I do remember this theme. It is making me want to go back and replay 12 because I haven't played it probably since it came out.
yeah.
Weirdly. So give me a little setup on what this theme was for, like, to give me a little bit of a reference point, because I don't remember where we were at in the story during this one.
Well, you're I mean, you're basically fighting Espers, which
And then you can get their summons or whatever, right?
So it's
Okay.
like, to me, like I said, it makes it seem like the fight's a lot more serious. Like this is
Yeah.
a lot. It's got a lot of punch to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay.
that's how I would.
Did
Go ahead.
they use this for every Esper? Like, did they use it for every one, or was it just like the first one? I don't remember how they.
I actually
how
don't-
they.
I don't remember either because it's been a while since I
really
played
good.
too.
I-
But
Yeah.
I think it was all of them except for maybe the last one.
yeah, because
Okay.
they had a
There's,
different.
there's
one.
the secret one that you have to unlock by like
Okay.
doing
Yeah.
a lot of. I think its name was Zodiac, but I could be wrong about
Oh,
that.
That rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then.
because
Zodiac.
12 takes place in the same world as Tactics.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah. Because
but
it's
it's
got
either
Ivory
like-
in it and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's either 1,000 years before or 1,000 years after.
Yeah.
I don't recall which, but
Which
yeah,
it's nice that it's got
supposedly
the
in
music
same
still
world.
connected to together. Which
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really like the feeling of hearing this song and just being in these battles. It just really got the heart racing for it.
You know, it's interesting because as soon as you said it's in the same world as Tactics, that thread that I'm hearing right now, that bum, like it's building up.
Yeah.
That's a thread that you hear in the music in Tactics too. Like, I mean, you like when a lot of times in the battle stages when you're zooming out or rather zooming in to the three-dimensional like battle stages, you'll hear that
Yeah.
exact same progression, that same chord progression.
Yeah,
coming
I think
through.
the horns and the kind of the marching drum beats are
Yeah.
a lift from Tactics, where most
That's
of your
cool.
battles are militarily
Yeah.
battles.
Yeah.
Because this sounds very military.
Oh, for sure.
It sounds,
Yeah, that's
but
very
it's not military. You're fighting
Yeah.
these fucking magical super beings.
Which
and I do think that's a holdover from Tactics.
Which funny you say that, because
It's funny.
when they put it in 14, it is all very militaristic, because you're basically fighting with a resistance against pretty much the Empire, and it does set itself in Damascus.
Evilise.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this being
Those are
part
the
of
only
like
two places I remember from 12.
yeah, and I think like
Hebrews
this
and
being
Romans.
part of a very like resistance heavy against the Empire, it gives it that militaristic feel.
That's very
So-
cool.
Bujerba!
Yeah,
Another
so
place.
that's my number 3. So
Beautiful.
Reno.
Beautiful.
What's your number 3? Did you ever figure that out? On
Yes, I finally have them here. I finally have them here. I'll give you a clue.
okay.
Oh my God.
Say no more.
I
Yeah.
mean, why are you even gonna press play, Levi?
Yeah, I don't even
We've
need-
heard the song now.
I don't
I
even
did a
need.
perfect, even better than my Benedict Cumberbatch, is my perfect rendition of the Phantom Forest theme from FF6.
Now we need you to do that for 30 more seconds. So go ahead and.
Actually, I'm going to let you go ahead and play Phantom Forest for 30 seconds, and then I will expound on my thoughts.
All right, here's Phantom Forest.
So, this is specifically a link to a remastered form of the Phantom Forest to make it sound even less like my horrible rendition of Phantom Forest, which is a bad version of the 16-bit version. But this is another song that's been built for picked for two reasons. Obviously, nostalgia, but it is also so perfect at capturing a mood, because when you first enter the Phantom Forest, you're not really sure why you're there. You're running from the Empire. You're trying to escape, but you're kind of just passing through this forest to get somewhere else. And it is only deep inside the forest that you find out that this is also like where the train of the dead comes to pick up people. And the only thing that can stop it is a professional wrestler with a suplex agenda. But I like the hint, like you have hints of nature, hints of like this spooky spirituality, and also hints of like, I want to call it like a false sense of safety, kind of like, so you have this like respite because you're successfully hidden from the Empire and Kefka at the moment. But there's also something in the background, like kind of it's not a pan flute, but it sort of sounds like a pan flute that creates this eeriness to it. And also the story that I've told a million times about trying to describe this song to a friend and doing that and then being able to pick up from that what song I was doing.
And you make it to where you can't unhear it, even after you hear it.
Nah, I've ruined it for everyone, and hopefully for everyone that hears this podcast. But yeah, those are the reasons that it is my number 3. And if I didn't say, it's another FF6 classic.
So this would have been on my list if Reno hadn't ruined it for me.
Damn it.
You're welcome.
When he told me the story about trying to tell a friend what song he was trying to remember, and he did his impression. When he first told me that story, it like the telling was just hit me just right. So I lost it. I mean, I just like laughed, like gut laughed, right? So I decided it was so funny, and anytime I could fill my life with joy, I do it. So I turned it into his ringtone, and every time he would call me, I'd be like, Phantom Force. So now I'm Pavlovianly conditioned to every time I hear that to laugh like a dumbass, like I just did now.
Nice.
All that said, just because Reno managed to ruin something beautiful, which is pretty normal for him.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I really like it is because when you go into the Phantom Forest, there's this mist, which is quite difficult to render. Like it's the light and the mist and the trees and the imagery of it is so beautiful, and the music seems like it was just crafted to perfectly go with these visuals. I don't know that there's any place in any video game except for maybe when in FF10 where the visuals and the music so seamlessly intertwine. And the
Is
scene
that
in
beautiful
FF10 that might do the same thing is the one with the fireflies whenever Titus and Yuna
finally get their freak on.
Exactly. But this is like, I mean, just the imagery and the music is so perfectly matched. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a good standalone song.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that would be on like a I want to sleep, but I want to have scary dreams playlist for sure. Levi, do you have a lot of or any experience with FF6 outside of when they stole a bunch of it for FF14?
They actually didn't steal a lot of 6 for 14, but yeah.
I saw Kefka. I saw him there.
No, it was just that it was actually that one oh, I accidentally did something. It was actually for that one raid tier that they stole from 6. So
But yeah, do you have a lot of FF6 experience?
Yeah. Yeah, why what is specific?
Oh, I'm just asking. I often overlook the age gap between the three of us, and I know that I don't know, 96 or whenever FF6 came out, you probably weren't born, and I assume you were born in like 2010 or something.
Yeah, that's
so
right. No, I will tell you the Final Fantasies, the one that I don't have a whole lot of experience is 1 and 2.
Okay.
So those are the ones that
for me it's 2 and 3, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, for me it's 1, 2, and 3. So
yeah. And even 3, I would even say as far as like 3 have very limited experience with. It was like 4 and up I've fairly reasonable knowledge of.
That's cool. All right. Alex, you want to drop some number 2 on us? Drop your number 2 on us.
No,
please.
I don't. Like, we're not that kind of friends.
Give me a Brooklyn steamer of an
Nope, I'm never that kind of friends with anybody. What the bloody fuck is wrong with you?
Drop a Brooklyn steamer of a number 2 on the podcast chest.
Yeah, let's go.
Wow.
Look, I got Levi on board. Let's just do it so we can get through it.
No, I'm not gonna just do it. Like, you can't peer pressure me into doo-doo stuff.
Whoa. Your number 2 song, Freakazoid.
Yeah, doo-doo stuff. Dooby-dooby-doo.
Oh.
Dooby-doo-doo.
All right, well, Alex is never going to give us her number 2 because reasons, so we'll just skip her.
Mine is, once again, from FF6. It is Shadow's theme. And it was a hard choice between him and a couple of other characters' themes from FF6 because they're all so freaking good.
There's like 18 character themes in that.
And they're all so freaking good. But
You're
Shadows
right.
is my favorite because it gives me the most nostalgic warm fuzzy. Because as a kid, I was like, oh my god, I want to grow up and be a ninja that has a dog.
I wanted to grow up to be a fucking gambler that had an airship, so I feel you. I was a Setzer guy. It was like, that dude throws cards and dice. And he can fly.
Yeah, so I don't think this needs any more introduction. Let's listen to some Shadows theme.
Here's Shadow's theme from Final Fantasy VI.
Lovely.
So another thing that I like about it, besides the fact that it is incredibly nostalgic for me, now that I've gotten older and learned a thing or two, it's also hugely reminiscent of the music from the westerns that were based on Kurosawa movies.
Like Seven Samurai and stuff.
Yeah.
that
So
is- that
it
is a
sounds
thought
like
it
the
gives
music
me.
from Magnificent Seven. It sounds like the music from the, you know, from all the westerns that were lifting their stories off of Kurosawa movies, and it sounds like that with a little mix of that very like classic kind of Japanese influence, and it's magnificent. And I don't think there's another song in any of the Final Fantasy games that quite sounds like this one. And I feel like it really was sort of a Kurosawa like homage in a weird way. The character, the music, the whole thing, you know.
Uematsu had an amazing ability to grab bag from different musical stylings, like everything from jazz to Celtic music to like heavy metal to Elton John to the Beatles. Like he
Yeah.
could take it and like transform it into an 8-bit or a 16-bit tune in a way that I don't know. I don't know other video game musical composers can do. Not that I've heard anyway.
I definitely
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I definitely like the sound of like the wandering badass like from those westerns. And
That is absolutely what they're capturing there.
It's just it really is well done how they did that for him particularly.
Isn't it weird that like it sounds like he's playing a mouth harp, but his mouth is always covered? So how's that?
He's doing it within. He's doing it inside.
He's putting it under the mask. You know, in these COVID times, we can learn a lot from Shadow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he wasn't giving anybody COVID.
No, he wasn't.
But yeah, what you were saying, Alex?
Oh, I was saying that the thing that, and that's another point for this piece of music in my mind is having never played the game, having no idea anything about the character. If I sat someone down and I played that for them and I was like, what's the personality archetype that this would be their theme song? They would most likely come up with a solo wandering badass,
probably a loner.
right?
Probably
a
a
loner.
six-shooter on one leg and a keyboard on the other.
I've often felt like this could definitely belong to other archetypes from other stories, like Roland from the Dark Tower series. This could be his theme song.
Yeah.
You know, like if you wanted to give a theme song to other, like that archetype shows up so often in so many stories, and this piece of music would fit any of them. It's really cool. He really painted a picture with this piece of music in a way that could represent that same archetype kind of across any genre of story.
And you're right. He did that with all of his character themes. Yeah. They were like you could hear Locke's theme and be like, probably in Indiana Jones adventure type.
Yeah, a rogue of some kind.
Yeah, you could hear Tara's theme and be like, confused girl who probably just needs a man. You can hear, although turns out she didn't. She just needed her to do a pink fireball. That was all she needed.
That's all we all need, really.
I mean, it's all I need. Pink balls. So
what?
Oh.
What?
Levi,
what's your next one? Yeah. Or is it my next one?
I forgot the order. I think it was my turn. But mine is remaining in Ivalice, Final Fantasy Tactics, a chapel. Which I'll go ahead and play a snippet of, and we can
take us to
discuss.
church, Levi.
Yeah, let's go to church. Let's go. This one was absolutely tough to put in the spot because I could have picked many different places to put in this spot from tactics alone, but I went with this one because, like I said, if my memory serves correctly, this was one of the first songs you hear in the game. When you're in, it's raining out, and you're basically, So, it's just such a great track that I don't know. It holds a lot of good nostalgia for me.
Yeah.
And Tactics is
like
one of my
this...
favorite games.
Yeah, absolutely. You know
Me
what I
too.
like about this song is it is the most common battle theme in Tactics. It's the one that plays during most fights, and it would not work in as the battle music for FF4. Like, it wouldn't work in a turn-based battle style in that way.
Yeah.
But for a grid-based battle, where you're pausing and you're zooming in and out and you're looking around and you're seeing how long it's going to take for your time spell to go off before
You're
that knight
thinking
kills
about the
you.
chessboard.
Yeah, it's a chessboard type battle theme,
and it definitely
is perfect for that.
Yeah, and it does, because like I can definitely feel like it has that like that strategizing, like battle planning type. And
you could see a bunch of people standing over a battle map. And, like,
and I can think of the same
moving armies.
And I can think the same thing of like the character select screen. I don't remember what, I think it's actually called something like that, but it's also very like you're in deep thought, like trying to plan out perfectly what your team is going to be.
And Tactics trips from Chogobos to kick out.
and then they're wondering why, like, I picked a whole team of black mages. Like, that's not the smart thing to do. So, no, but it's like, I feel like Tactics was so good about doing that for every situation. Like,
agreed.
Yeah.
Tactics is just so damn good.
It is really good.
That game is fantastic.
The fact that game was only re-released, to my knowledge, for the PSP, and we haven't got... Just port it to the fucking PS4, you coward!
There must be some kind of legal or license
give it to me.
with it.
Because I would buy it yesterday if they had it.
Absolutely.
That's one of those games that I would have 57 copies of if there were 57 systems that was on.
It's Skyrim level of I will buy it on every system, and as many times as you want to make it. Just keep adding one more character.
Agreed. Agreed. I will tell you this, Levi, if you want something that will sort of give you that Tactics fix, the closest thing I've found is, I know it's available on the Switch, but it's the Dark Crystal game. And I really need to give you the full name of the game, but it's like Tactics in that you look at the board from above. It's a grid. You have special powers. You're fighting. It's very similar. It's the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance game.
And this is on Switch?
Yeah, I got my copy on Switch. I think, it's Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics is the name of it. I highly recommend it. It's not as good as Final Fantasy Tactics, at all. But it's you can't live up to that at this point. But it will give you a little hit of, oh my gosh, this is similar to Tactics, and they lifted a lot of the battle system from Tactics for that game, I think. But yeah,
I think every grid system game that came after, from this Gaia to Vandal Hearts, was like, we got to get a little bit of Tactics in here.
And also just kind of while we were on Tactics, because I can't remember if we got another one or not, but there was a video that I watched where it was there was a game before Tactics that was before Tactics that was like meant to be like the first one of its kind.
Right.
That and allegedly is from the same guy who made Tactics, but it just wasn't as popular. Mind you, my knowledge is a little shaky on it because this was a while ago, but I vaguely have a recollection of it. But it's
I don't know.
This is the one. This is the one that
down.
Well,
that might
I will have
be
to.
Vandal Hearts, because I think Vandal Hearts may have came out before Tactics.
And I think
anyway,
Tactics became as popular as it was over here, and that's why it's the one that's well known. So,
that makes sense. Yeah.
So that was just a quick little thing on that.
But back to your music pick, it's a fantastic music pick. Once again, it runs into the Tactics music runs into the same problem that all the RPG music runs into, but even more so because your battles can last for hours on those boards if you are playing it in a specific way.
Especially before those stage battles where
oh my god, you
they
could
tell
be
you
there
to save before you start because you're
Jesus,
going to do like
yeah,
3 or 4 in a
yeah.
row.
Because if your mom calls you to go do something and she wants you to turn the game off, you're screwed, right?
Yeah,
So,
because they don't know what a pause button is.
oh, what is that all about?
That or they want you to pause an MMO or something.
Or they decided to put a fucking ridiculously god level tiered Zodiac monster right in the middle of the game without warning you.
Right? Oh my god, what is that all about? I mean,
that fucking guy.
that fucking guy with his weird burble belly. Ugh.
And his weird
burble belly.
Bone bullhead.
Oh my god, yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. That is one of the like most misleveled, like there's no warning for that.
That fight is crazy hard.
Yeah.
Crazy hard.
But I digress. You were saying.
Yeah, I was just saying that the music is really good. It's really well thought out. The loop on it is not very noticeable. It immediately slammed a bunch of nostalgia in my head. I wanted to say as soon as it started, is it raining outside? You know, and I immediately get that, you know?
And I love that it's such a memorable, like, even after all these years, like, I keep thinking the first level, like, where it's just kind of like, well, it was like a not like, it was like a flashback type.
The game opens in a very intriguing way.
Yeah.
Is that you're here to pick up a princess, and then your best friend goes out the back door with her on the back of a chocobo, and you're like, wait.
And he's like,
what's he doing here?
He's like, was that
Delita?
He's like, was that him?
Yeah. And then you go flashback, but like, and you get the rain and the first fight.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good
choice, Levi.
Thank
good
you.
Choice.
Thank you. I believe it is your turn, Mr. Reno.
Yes. My next one is
give us your deuce.
Now, I mean, City of the Ancients from FF7. I'm
nice.
That one is a great one.
Oh man, you want to talk about a song that captures like an ancient society that had all the secrets.
Like an ancient butt.
An ancient butt that had all the secrets. An ancient society that has like all the secrets, like the way we view the Mayans or the Egyptians that like came before us and then just disappeared, and like we're just digging through their ruins, like hoping to find some understanding. Like this song perfectly captures that. And also, at the point you hear it, if I remember correctly, you're chasing Aerith, who's run off on her own. So you've got that background of that growing fear that you're not going to see her again, which may turn out to be true. Spoiler. So give it a whirl. Spin that record, Levi. Such shivers from that, and something I forgot to mention before it started. Like it has such a sense of isolation. Like these people are gone, and they are not. The ancients are not coming back. And as you're exploring the kingdom that they left behind and finding these weird things, like you hit a button and this like weird aquarium appears, and like their houses are in these crazy mushrooms, like Smurfs. Like it's so I mean, I feel like we're starting to repeat ourselves, but man, Uematsu can capture a mood like nobody's business in this song. This is a creepy loneliness that I felt most of my life, so this song speaks to me very strongly.
Plus I always have like a fascination with the like ancient peoples and ruins, so stuff like this really get up my good side, you know. I know
It's a
the weird way. I
common,
probably could have worded that a little
And I'll
better.
be in your good side.
it's a
That's
common
what it does.
RPG trope because it lets you add in anything you want.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, we need a cannon for this part. Well, the ancients had cannons. Let them go find one that's buried in the.
And to quote an old friend, it's like, I wonder what horrors took place here. Just I don't know. It's the mystery of it is fun.
So, another thing I really like about this piece is it's soft. And when you're going through the City of the Ancients, the color palette is almost pastels. It's very pink. It's very like soft blues. Yeah, aqua colors. Yeah. It's very
it kind of gives you the impression that it was underwater at some point.
Yeah, it could yeah, sort of Atlantean in like a and this music is very creepy and very isolationist, but it's also very soft. And I like that because that softness to me matches the color palette of the imagery in the game. And it I don't know how it's to explain it. It's like it's like
I didn't
all
even think
of
of that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, all the imagery and all of the music is very like, it's got a roundness to it or a softness. There's no hard edges.
It's real gamey,
Yeah, there's just no hard edges, and there's no hard edges in the structures that you're walking through. Very cool. I also like that in the City of the Ancients, it almost looks like they live in giant seashells sometimes, and like you were saying, like Smurf mushrooms.
Yeah, the mushrooms and seashells, and there's like coral, like kind of hanging around, and then you sort of go like down and around, down to this like seashell next to this like beautiful lake, where spoiler, you witness Sephiroth give Aerith a good
back rub.
A good back rub. and this song is also like a really good preamble to that scene, which I think anyone that played it when it first came out was caught totally off guard for. But and kind of the hints of it were in this song.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
But when you go back to the City of the Ancients after the big Sephiroth shit goes down, this music is no longer playing. It's just quiet.
I cannot say.
I can't remember
cool, but I do not know. Yeah.
I think when you go back, it's that there's no theme music. I think that it's done because I think you only hear this leading up to the famous Sephiroth scene, and then whenever you eventually, a million years later, come back to the City of Ancients
to get Holy out of the water.
Yeah, to get Holy out of the water, the music is not playing.
I have a very distinct memory of it not playing when you're like on the stairs going down to where the lake is. I don't know if they turn it off for the whole City of the Ancients.
It may be that I'm crossing my memories. I won't deny that that's a possibility. Either way, it's very impactful to suddenly be in this place where there was magic and now the magic is gone. Like that's how it translated to me, is that you had this magical like music that made everything feel sort of full of possibility and sort of creepy and sort of, the mysteries of the world might be unfolded here, and then your friend / possibly girlfriend is no longer shuffles off her mortal coil, and now all that magic is fucking gone. It's just done.
She's with the ancients. She's gone.
Yes, my recommendation is to take Barrett on the date at Gold Saucer, because you're kind of wasting your time taking Aerith on that date. You're just throwing good money after bad if you're taking her on those rides. You are not going to hit that. God, I love that song.
Excellent choice.
It's really good.
That's why it's my number 2. Alex, you want to hit us with your big bad number 1?
I'll hit you with my best shot. So my big bad number 1.
Hit me with your best shot. It's her number 1.
My big bad number 1 is Edia's theme from FF8.
Whew. Bringing the fire for number 1.
Here's the thing. I like this FF8. did the same thing that 6 did, where your bad guy wasn't your real bad guy, and then at the end you found out that the real bad guy was a totally different bad guy, right? But the bad guy that you thought was the bad guy for a long time was so incredibly stylish.
So
and
good.
Edea was just she was so stylish, and she was so terrifying, and so like just everything about her was her character design was amazing. Her look was amazing. Just everything about her was so good. And when you first hear her theme, I distinctly recall it's the first cinematic cutscene that you get in 8 with her in it.
Yeah.
And she is magnificent. And that cinematic cutscene is, man, stop listening right now, YouTube it, and look at it. It is fantastic. And especially because FF8 was on a system where things like that didn't visually happen ever. I mean, Final Fantasy was known for pushing its visuals, like pushing graphics to the very edge of what a gaming system could do. And FF8 was no different than the others. I mean, it really, those cinematics were just incredible. And I remember this just blowing me away. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't care if I do lose, as long as I lose to her. Because she's just so magnificent. And all that being said, you should play her theme because, man, it does most of the work that I just tried to do.
Well, here we go.
The first thing I'll say is if any Disney witches had this as their theme song, they would have just murdered whatever. Like if the evil witch from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, if this was her theme song, the Seven Dwarfs would just be ripped into shreds and just scattered across the forest.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to say I really love when it really gets a little bassy.
I was about to say it continues to build as you go through.
Like real heavy, just I love it. It's out of nowhere.
Yeah, and we may want to turn it back up when we get to that part if we're going to talk about it a little bit. But yeah, it continues to grow, and man, she's just. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, she's like I say, I do. It's weird. I do get like this. Because the song's actually called Succession of Witches.
Yeah.
Because the sorceress is the incantation of the sorceress, like once born every generation or something like that. FF8,
I don't think you know that plot at this point in the game, weirdly enough. I think
might from like, and the only reason I know this is because I'm listening to a podcast where they're playing through Final Fantasy VIII. Like,
oh, really? That's great.
Yeah, and it's great. I showed it to Levi. I'll plug it here. Retrograde Amnesia on the Greenlit Podcast Network. It's they're doing FF8 right now, and it's good shit. And
got the right stuff.
Yeah, and right at the beginning, you have the computer at your desk. You can find her history on that, but you have to dig for it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it won't pop up for probably 85% of people.
Like fucking everything in FF8, you have to fucking become a scholar to do. It's the same thing with the damn GP shit and the fighting system in that game.
It was one of my problems with 13 was like there was so much fucking terminology. It was like oh, if you turn into a crystal, you're a fell Seath, and it's still a Vey if you don't. And if you fulfill your goal, you're a foul Psi, and if you don't, you're Phil Soul. And I'm like, shut up, just shut the fuck up.
I think
Yeah.
that was one of my I think that was one of my biggest gripes about 13 was because of that.
Yeah, it used to give me headaches.
Mm.
But
Yeah, it's
let's
tough
not
to
think
follow.
of that. FF8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, FF8 was really good, but yeah, there was a lot of world building that you had to read on a book in the corner of the room that was just to the left. It was like this.
Right. It's like you had to piece things together yourself.
Yeah,
There
you had
was
to connect
so much in that
Laguna
game.
did 15 years ago.
Yeah, there was so much in that game that if you didn't know how to get to the information, you
And-
were just fucked. Like,
an
you would
issue of-
never find it.
Yeah, an issue of Timber Maniacs that you'd find in the corner of an inn if you decided to stay the night at that inn.
Yeah. But only if you talk to Zell's mom first, not if you didn't.
Obviously.
Like,
and you have to win her card.
yeah. Good
Not
God.
Zell's mom's card, which
Yeah.
you only get in a very unique cutscene.
Jesus H. Christ. But yeah, Edia's theme. And I will say this, I think that FF8 had some of the best music in the whole series.
The man with the machine gun? Come
Oh
on.
my God.
Come on.
It's so good. It's so good.
And whatever the Siege of Dolet song is, I don't remember the
Yeah,
name of it.
so much good music in that series, or in that game rather. But yeah, so that's my number one. It's pretty great.
That is a
Pretty
good
great
one.
stuff.
It is pretty great.
Worthy of a number one spot.
Worthy successor.
Worthy successor of witches.
All right. Levi. Worthy successor of witches.
My number one, my grand finale is Genova for Final Fantasy VII.
Good
Another
choice.
7 hit.
Good choice.
I'm gonna hit a little bit of that right now.
Please.
Whoa.
So, aside from this song just completely blowing my mind, like, I thought it fit the fight very well. It sounds very otherworldly, like just right off the get-go. And it's very high paced, and it's again it's got that like gets your heart pumping for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's just got a really good melody to it.
Genova is originally like a space alien crashed. Some creature from the outer beyond that crashed on this planet in a meteor. That's where the Great Crater, where the final battle takes place. That's where she lands. And the very start of this song has such a space laser feel to it.
Yeah.
That if you don't have that clue up to that point, like, you get a very space battle feel from just this first, that like that laser sound,
and so,
right at the beginning.
It's so catchy.
Yeah, and the adrenaline pumping is there, the sense of urgency, because whenever you have this music, it's usually because Jeff Roth? My boy Jeff Roth.
I think you're thinking of Sephiroth's brother.
Yeah, Jeff Roth. Sephiroth's younger brother.
Oh man, no. Jeff Roth is definitely not part of that family. Like, he wants to be. He's like the neighbor kid who had shitty parents.
I think he's just Sephiroth once he loses a front tooth. He just becomes Jeff Roth. Like, Cloud knocked it out. I'm still cool, right? Yeah, Jeff
No,
Roth.
you're fucking not Jeff Roth.
Anyway, when this music, it's when Sephiroth has dropped a piece of Genova in front of you and fucking booked it. And so the urgency to kill that thing and continue your pursuit of Sephiroth is it's all there in the music. And
Yeah.
yeah, excellent.
Yeah, good choice.
Thank
Good show, old chap. Good show.
Oh, I
Yes.
do appreciate that, old chap.
And it made me feel bad I didn't pick a battle theme for any of my three. All of mine were very relaxed and chill.
While all mine were battle themes.
Yeah. Although the chapel battle theme is also kind of a very relaxed and chill
Yeah, I mean,
thing.
so yeah, what was
Oh, Alex. All right, but yeah.
I'm
So
covered in puppy.
my number
Love it, love
one,
it.
probably the most relaxed and chilled of everything we'll play tonight. And for people who are Final Fantasy fans, probably the most surprising, because I don't ever see it on anyone's list, and I think that's because I have either exceptionally good or exceptionally bad taste. It's Memories of Waves and Light, which is the opening theme for Final Fantasy X-2, a game that was met with
harsh criticism?
I was gonna say mixed reviews, but that would imply someone liked it.
Some
They
people
were-
very much did.
yeah, they were not mixed. They were pretty. I mean, when it first came out, I did not see any positive reviews. Even the people that were like, "I like seeing those girls in them sexy outfits," but the game's fucking awful. Um, I think time has kind of given it a better light.
Mhm.
The plot's still garbage, but it's got one of the best battle systems of any Final Fantasy, and I will stand by that.
No, I'll agree with that one. I think the story is
Great
definitely
system.
what gets me away
Awful,
from it.
just god awful.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's listen to the best part of Final Fantasy X-2, which is this song. Here we go. Nope, it's gonna be like another 5 seconds. Yeah, that part. Oh, so first of all, I definitely wanted to get a piano, like an all piano theme in here because I'm a sucker for those. Like
Oh, yeah.
that's or mostly piano. I mean, there's some weird space sounds in the background, but it's just mostly piano music.
Oh, it's great, and I also love like the build up. The build up was really nice for it, especially when it
Yeah.
starts really going heavy with the piano.
It was a little longer than I thought it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, now it's good. Oh no, wait, I
Yeah,
forgot
yeah.
it does that refrain one more time
Mm.
past where you think it would.
It's like those songs
This-
where you try to like sing along to it, but you just miss it. It's like there's one more instrumental.
Yeah, there's one more than you expect before they break into the chorus.
Uh-huh.
But I remember turning on 10-2 because this was the first time Final Fantasy had ever done a sequel to anything. And I was super excited and super ready to get into it. And this music, it slowed me down. Like, I was like, I put the disc in, I was like ready to hit start and just jump in. And this song started, and I was like, oh, kind of neat. And what is playing on the screen with this is just kind of some black and white still shots. It's not, and it's not even of action-packed parts of the scene. It's a very smooth, calm, which 10 opened in a similar way. Like 10 is Titus on a hill talking about, I'm gonna tell my story, and it's also very calming and music.
Why does
Like,
Titus sound like that, Reno? Why?
I'm gonna tell
That's
my
I'm
how-
gonna
story.
tell my
I'm gonna
story,
tell my
y'all.
story because he's
I
a
don't
fucking,
think I hear nothing about
he's a
Titus.
redneck jock.
He's
Let's
an
be honest.
idiot.
He's an idiot. Yeah, that's why he sounds like that. know.
Gotta say that I
The
really hate
laughter
that
around
scene
the
so
world.
much. I hate that scene so much.
Man, yeah. Well, 10-2's like that game, that scene, but stretched
The
through
whole
an
For like
entire game.
65 hours.
Yeah.
I want to know like what the thought process was when they put that in the game. Like I just
There
want to know.
wasn't a
Oh,
thought
the laugh?
process.
Yeah,
I have to think they thought it would be funny,
it
maybe,
was
and that the
something.
voice actors, maybe there was some communication error with the voice actors about how that was supposed to sound. I've heard the Japanese of it. It's not quite so cringy, but
So
what
what
are
it
you gonna
tells
do?
me
So
is the person who led that pass, basically green lighted that, was probably hung over. Like fuck it, just put it in.
so this piece of music that you chose as your number one, Reno.
Yes.
If I had never heard it before, I would be like, "Whoa, that's great."
Wow.
But because I've heard it before,
I fucking
it
hate it.
I fucking hate it, and I hate it because I have all this nostalgia where I was like, "Oh right, we get to find out if Titus is still alive, and the story's gonna go on." And then the worst fucking game, like so fucking bad. Like that song is like, yeah, this is what hope feels like. Hope you enjoyed it because it's about to get crushed, like that.
This was
And then
was the
I
one
played
song
a
I
game.
separated them.
I played a game where I kept running into the three characters whose game I wanted to play, but
Mhm.
for some reason I was playing these three stupid bitches who were wandering around looking for recordings of some shit that had nothing to do with them.
Yeah. It was like the whole world was going by, and they were
Going to
like,
war and shit,
I
and the
wonder if I
three.
can find a recording of Titus masturbating.
Yeah,
Let's check.
I need a
Let's see if we
recording of
can.
Titus, yeah, talking to his dad or whatever. And then you'd run into like the three dudes that were like the head of the Albed, the head of
The church.
the the
I don't remember
church,
the
and
names.
then yeah, and the head of
The Machina loving.
exactly. And fucking those guys were amazing. I was like, I want to play that game where I get
Yeah.
to be those three dudes
Yeah.
instead of goth girlfriend, fucking sad May Padme Yuna, and fucking Riku, who apparently and apparently everybody lost half their shirt between 10 and 10-2. Where the fuck did everybody's lower half of their shirt go?
That
Where
I
is
know the
it?
answer to that. That's
Like
actually canon.
yeah.
Killing Sin actually kickstarted global warming, so it got a lot hotter in Spira after Sin was murdered because he released a ton of carbon into the air when he
a lot
died.
of sin toxin. That's what
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
That
Oh
and
my
Sin-
god.
that
Yeah.
and it's a strictly fan service game. So
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, so
Look,
it
if you
it's a
don't like the skin
wonderful
they're showing,
song.
put him in a
It,
Moogle outfit.
wonderful song, except that it is a harbinger of fucking doom in my brain.
It's
So,
a song that was playing while my father was being killed. I'm not
yeah.
gonna like the song no matter what. Yeah, this is the one place where I separate and am able to separate like this is not based on nostalgia because I
Mm.
do not have any good feelings about the game. This is purely based on I love this song so
It's
much
really
that I
good
was like,
song.
I want to learn how to play the
Yeah.
piano to learn how to play this song. This song exactly. Like
Well,
it's just
and I feel like that's
and
something.
you're right, it's all hope,
Yeah,
Alex.
Yeah.
It's a very hopeful song.
and I feel like it's important to be able to like separate the two because there's a lot of games that I hate, but I still love the soundtrack too, and it makes
Yeah.
me. It's more of a bummer that I don't like the games because
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
how could a game have this good of a soundtrack if it blows this hard?
Yeah.
So-
There's a song from like it's Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, like one of the Donkey Kong games. That is the kind of song that I would put up with like this song as just like, oh my God, that's beautiful. Like I want that to play at my wedding. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like just some underwater theme where you're a big monkey swimming for bananas, but I forget the composer of that, but he hid two or three fucking like these need to be performed by symphony songs in each of the Donkey Kong games.
Mm.
and I hate the Donkey Kong games, but yeah, like every once in a while you got to try and separate the music from the environment, and I did it here because I wanted a piano song, and I wanted at least one song that was inspired by Uematsu but wasn't written by him,
Mhm.
and so
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
yeah, and so that's why I ended with Memories of Wade Light, and it's the only one out of all of these songs, I'd say thousands of video game songs that Uematsu has done. It's the only one that actually made me want to like learn to play an instrument. Not enough to actually do it because I'm a procrastinator and a quitter, but enough to want to, and that counts for
That's
something.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's a good choice for sure. I really like that one.
thank you. Same to both of you, of course. Do you guys want to do a quick rundown of our top threes and then get the hell out of here?
Yes.
All right. Well,
Let them curse.
my number three was Phantom Forest from FF6. My number two was City of the Ancients from FF7. And of course, my number one we just played was Memories of Waves and Light from Final Fantasy X-2.
And,
Alex?
Oh yeah, Alex.
Yeah, Alex.
Alex. Getting ahead of myself.
Oh.
Or Odie.
My
Odie,
number
if you want to
three
do this
was
for her.
my number 3 was Dancing Mad from FF6, which is Kefka's theme. My number 2 was Shadow's theme, also from FF6. Man, what a great game! What a bunch of great characters. And my number 1 was Edia's theme, or also known as the Succession of Witches, which is from FF8.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a dog party.
It's
You're
a dog
invited.
off.
I don't have one to show, but whoa, my camera did freak out for a minute.
It's that scene from Zoolander. It's a walk off.
Instead of
It's
sharing a
walk-off.
dog, I will share my list. My number 3 was oh my god, Battle with an Esper from FF12.
Yes.
My number 2 was Chapel from FF Tactics.
Good choice.
And my number 1 spot, Genova from FF7.
Huh? I think you win the most rocking playlist.
Oh man,
That's true.
And I tried to win the most sleepy time playlist.
mine's ready to for any fight. You just play any of my list.
And be ready.
You'll be ready.
Get ready.
Well, children,
Guns out, guns out.
this has been a fucking joy and a pleasure as always, you
it
two.
was fun, yeah.
For everyone listening, I don't know, follow, like, and subscribe. Leave comments, but only with 5-star reviews. Otherwise, don't fucking bother. And come back next week, and we'll have another top 3 for you. Probably have something to do with boobs. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought it out yet. No.
Well, I know what my top 3 are.
Do you guys lefty, righty, and center?
Yeah, that pick from the original Total Recall, number 1, 2, and 3, right there.
Hell yeah.
That's what we call creep-tastic.
Yeah, freaky. I got
All
5
right.
kids to feed, man.
All right.
She got kids, y'all. This is Reno V for Levi and Alex signing off. We love you very, very much. And we'll
You are
see
a
you
liar
next
and a
week.
sinner.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Hi, Reed.